Hey guys, and welcome back to Gabbing with Jessa. Tomorrow night is going to be the biggest night in Hollywood because it is, of course, the Oscars, and I am so excited. I have been so into movies within these last year and a half, and the Oscars are something I have always loved to watch, even when I was younger and I, hadn't seen any of the movies. But now that I am older and I have expanded my movie knowledge and my movie-going experience, I am so excited. I am also very proud of myself because as of the filming of this video, I have seen every single Oscar-nominated Best Picture movie, and I am so happy. I can't believe I did it. I am so happy I was able to see all 9 of them, and I can't wait to talk about them all. Now, I have done my research, and I have, seen these movies, and I have watched other award shows that have been going on because it is award show season, and I have compiled my predictions, all of my Oscar predictions for this year. Now, I'm only going to be talking about a few of the different categories and my predictions for the winners in this video, but I also will be leaving down in the description box a list of all of the categories, all of my predictions, and we'll see how good I am at this. Now, of course, there were a lot of upsetting snobs, at least for me. I really enjoyed The Farewell that starred Awkwafina this past year. It came out in July, and I really thought that she had a really great chance of maybe getting a Best Actress nomination or even just a Best Picture nomination because it was so beautiful. I loved it. It was not something I would normally gravitate towards, at least a few years ago in my movie-going experience, but now I'm really upset about that. I also absolutely loved Little Women. I loved the way that Greta went about it, and unfortunately, she did not get her Best Director nomination, and trust me, I know the internet has exploded all over that, so I'm not gonna talk about it anymore. But yeah, I'll just go ahead and I'll talk about my first prediction, which is for Best Original Screenplay, and I went back and forth on this for a little while. I have my little prediction sheets right here, and I eventually ended up picking Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I was debating between that and Parasite, and as much as I love Parasite, and I did enjoy it more than Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I just think knowing the past of everything that I think the Academy will lead more towards Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yes, Quentin Tarantino did a great job. It was fun to watch, and I don't know, it was in a way like an historical fiction, but I think Parasite offered a lot more. I think it was something that anyone around the world could relate to. I mean, it was based and created and directed and filmed and everything in South Korea, yet I was able to take something away from it. I was able to understand what they were trying to say. And yes, it got a little silly, but I just think that the Academy is going to lean more towards Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's something like this where I hope I'm wrong. I also really liked Knives Out. I thought that was a really great whodunit. I thought it also had a lot of fun. It was able to be, you could connect it with different aspects of it to your own personal life, but I don't think that's going to win. I want it to, but it's not going to. For Best Adapted Screenplay, this is another one I went back and forth on, but I eventually picked Jojo Rabbit, which is based off of a book. I loved Jojo Rabbit. I thought that not only that it was funny, which I mean, Taika Waititi's playing an imaginary Hitler, of course that's going to be funny, but I also thought Scarlett Johansson did a really great job. She was my favorite character in it, and the story was a lot of fun. It had a lot of heart, and it was something that I was able to feel something for, even though I wasn't around during World War II. I was debating between that and Little Women. I think Little Women should also get it, but I just don't think it will. Again, I hope it's something that does win over what I'm predicting will win, but if either of these two movies win, I will be very satisfied because I think they both do deserve it. For Best in Visual Effects, I'm going to give it to Avengers Endgame because, come on, that was the biggest movie of the year. It is the biggest movie in the world, and no, I know it's not going to be nominated for Best Director, Best Actor, Best Picture, or anything like that. As a Marvel fan, I know that's going to happen, and I'm not upset that it wasn't nominated for that, but being able to create all the different powers and abilities and worlds and creatures and everything that goes into making a Marvel movie, I think that it deserves it. And it has won some effects awards over the past few weeks, so that gives me hope. For Best Cinematography, I'm going to give it to 1917 because, as I mentioned in my January wrap-up, I absolutely loved the way it was shot. It looked like it was all filmed all at once, and they just did it all in one take, and that was absolutely stunning to me. I also really like The Lighthouse, which was also nominated on this, but I just think they'll give it to 1917. The Lighthouse was a very interesting, if you like kind of psychological horror films, I highly recommend watching that one too. It's in all black and white. It's just Robert Pattinson and William Dafoe having a wacky ass time on a lighthouse, and I recommend it. For Best in Film Editing, I'm gonna give it to Ford v Ferrari. This is another movie that I absolutely loved that I didn't think I would like because I'm not really into NASCAR or racing or anything. Especially after watching this, I never want anyone I know to do it because it's so scary. But I think the way they were able to put that film together with the editing process of Christian Bale, you know, racing and having, I don't know, it's just something about it. I also think I'm just giving it to this because I want them to win as well. But I had a great time during that movie, and I think that it takes a lot to edit it the way that it was done. For Best Animated Feature, I'm gonna give it to Missing Link. Now, I have actually not seen any of these movies that are on for Best Animated Feature except for Toy Story 4. Honestly, I think Frozen 2 should have been on here. It was so much better than Frozen 1. I loved that story. And also, unpopular opinion, I didn't really like Toy Story 4, but I'm gonna give it to Missing Link. Yeah, it wasn't that big in the box office, but it's gotten great critical reviews, and I think it's already won either the SAG or the Golden Globe for Best Animated Feature. And so with that research that I've done, I think it'll go to Missing Link. For Best International Feature, I'm gonna give it to Parasite because I can't tell you any of the other movies on the list. No, there's Les Miserables, but like a French version of it. But other than that, it has to go to Parasite. And that's all I'm gonna say on it. For Best Supporting Actor, I'm gonna give it to Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I very much did enjoy Brad Pitt's character in this. I think that he did a really good job. But I mean, it still was a very Brad Pitt character to me. If I had to pick another actor, I would want to see Tom Hanks win this one for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood for being Mr. Rogers, because I love it when actors are able to create, or recreate, I should say, real life people and it be very close to them. While I think Tom Hanks should get it, I know that it's gonna go to Brad Pitt. Yes, he did a good job. Maybe I just kind of missed more of what his part or character was supposed to be portraying to me, but I don't know. He's gonna win it anyway, so can't really complain there. For Best Supporting Actress, I'm gonna give it to Laura Dern for Marriage Story. Now, as much as I did love Laura Dern in Marriage Story, I honestly liked her a lot better in Little Women. I think that she was fantastic in that. She was the mother of the 4 March girls. I loved her character. I thought she did a really great job in that role. Everything about that movie I just love, and I wish that she was nominated for that part. But I also wish that Scarlett Johansson wins this for Jojo Rabbit because, like I said, I thought she was phenomenal in that movie. She was my favorite character in that movie, and I thought she did a really great job, and I loved her in it. But I believe that it's still gonna go to Laura Dern. For Best Director, I'm gonna give it to Sam Mendes, who I keep wanting to call Shawn Mendes just because they're both Mendes. He directed 1917, and I think it's a very obvious reason for why I think he's gonna get it. It's that whole thing with the one single shot, and 1917 is just gonna clean up at these awards, I feel like. They deserve to because it was fantastic, but I kind of wish they got a little more recognition for actors because the 2 guys who played the 2 main soldiers were really good. But this movie is just nominated for, you know, visual things, sound things, editing things, nothing for acting. But I know that Sam Mendes really did a really great job directing with that whole one-shot motion they did. Now for Best Actor, I'm gonna give it to Joaquin Phoenix because I think it's very obvious. He has won basically every other Best Actor award, and he's basically had the same exact competition for all the gentlemen that are in the category. I loved Joker, and despite the criticisms, I think that he did a really great job. I think that, yes, this movie did have maybe more than one narrative or different kind of narratives, or you could take the narrative and spin it however you want. But I thought he did a really great job. He was able to create a character that I didn't feel bad for necessarily, but I understood. I don't give him like any empathy. Like, you can't go around killing people no matter what your mental state is. but he was able to show us a character that kept trying, that kept just being, yes, he was down on his luck, but like, it's not what, there's so much more to that. I really don't know who else I would give it to. Maybe Adam Driver for Marriage Story, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of that movie. It was just a very okay film for me. Maybe Leo, but again, it was a very Leo character to me in a similar way it is to Brad Pitt. But Hollywood likes movies about Hollywood, so you never know. I could be surprised. For Best Actress, I'm gonna give it to Renee Zellweger for Judy. Now, this is a movie I have not seen, but I have seen her win countless awards for this. So again, that's another reason I did my research, and that's why I'm gonna give it to her. For another pick, I would probably give it to, and I know I'm gonna butcher this name because I butcher it every time, Saoirse Ronan, I think is how you pronounce it. She played Jo March in Little Women. And I thought that she did an absolutely amazing job in that. Like I said, I just love everything about Little Women. But now for Best Picture, I literally have scribbled it out because I waited for this category for so long because I still don't know. I don't even know if this is what I'm gonna go with, but you know what? I'm saying it now and I'm gonna go with it, and I'm gonna say 1917 for Best Picture. It's between that and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for me, which both of them did win for Best Drama and Best Comedy / Musical for the Golden Globes. So that's why I kept going back and forth. And then I think 1917 won at the SAG Awards. I think they won at the BAFTAs recently. And so that's what I'm gonna go with, even though I know Hollywood loves movies about Hollywood. We saw this with La La Land. That was a movie about Hollywood, won a ton of awards, but did not win for Best Picture because of, you know, that little incident. But I think it's going to be 1917. I think it deserves to be 1917. I wish The Farewell was in this category, like I said earlier. What else do I wish would win? I don't know, maybe Jojo Rabbit. That was a lot of fun. Or 4v Ferrari. That was a surprise that I was happy with, that it was nominated for Best Picture. But it's going to be 1917. And there you have it. Those are all my Oscar predictions for these upcoming Oscars that are going to be airing tomorrow night. If you want to see all my other predictions for all the other categories, along with all the other nominees, that will be in the description down below. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, do all those fun things. Let me know what you think about the Oscars, how you guys did during the Oscars with all your predictions. And until next time, keep on gabbing.